So, as the President of the UN Security Council, I've been authorized to make the following statement on Iraq. The members of the Security Council deplored in the strongest terms the recent events in the city of Mosul in Iraq, where elements of the terrorist organization, the Islamic State of Iraq and Levant, ISIL, have attacked Iraqi security personnel and civilians, taken over significant parts of the city, including the Turkish consulate and many government buildings, and displaced hundreds of thousands of people. The members of the Security Council also condemned the recent terrorist attacks that are being perpetrated against the people of Iraq in an attempt to destabilize the country and region. They expressed their deep condolences to the families of the victims, reaffirmed their support for the people and the government of Iraq, particularly those displaced by these terrorist acts, and reiterated their commitment to Iraq's security and territorial integrity. They expressed grave concern for the hundreds of thousands of individuals who have fled their homes seeking refuge in other areas of Iraq, and expressed gratitude to the host communities that have opened their doors to those seeking shelter and food. The members of the Security Council welcomed the government of Iraq's announced plans for a national unity meeting to bring together all of Iraq's people to combat terrorist threats and continue to encourage the government of Iraq, as well as Iraqi leaders from across the political spectrum, including the Kurdish regional government, to work together to promote stability in Nineveh province and to work with the United Nations Assistance Mission for Iraq and humanitarian agencies to ensure the delivery of urgently needed humanitarian relief. The members of the Security Council strongly denounced the taking of hostages at the Turkish consulate and insist on the immediate and safe return of all personnel. They condemned acts of violence against diplomatic and consular representatives which endanger or take innocent lives and seriously impede the normal work of such representatives and officials. The members of the Security Council reiterated that no act of violence or terrorism can reverse a path towards peace, democracy, and reconstruction in Iraq, underpinned by the rule of law and respect for human rights, which is supported by the people and the government of Iraq and international community. They remind states that they must ensure that measures taken to combat terrorism comply with all their obligations under international law, in particular human rights, refugee, and humanitarian law. The members of the Security Council also reminded member states of their obligation to implement and enforce the targeted financial sanctions, arms embargo, and travel ban imposed on ISIL and associated groups and individuals under the sanctions regime pursuant to resolutions 1267 and 1989. It has been the text of the press statement which was adopted today by members of the Security Council.
Ambassador, you have words of condemnation there, but what about talk of any action? Is there anything you can do to help remove ISIL?
Well, we'll be discussing the situation in Iraq tomorrow in the Council. We'll see what suggestions can be made in this regard. Now, I would like to invite the permanent representative of Iraq to make a few comments and to talk to you. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I would like to thank, on behalf of the government of Iraq, the President of the Security Council, Ambassador Churkin, and all members of the Security Council for issuing a strong statement supporting Iraq in its fight against Al-Qaeda affiliate terrorist group Daesh, or ISIL, who have taken over parts of the city of Mosul. We have said so many times in the Security Council that Iraq is facing serious terrorist threats, in part due to the spillover effect by the crisis in Syria. And this dire situation, which affects the life of many civilians in Iraq, will not be solved without the undertaking of the UN member states of their responsibilities and fulfillment their obligations pursuant to Resolution 1267 and 1989. the Iraqi government will spare no effort in fighting the terrorists and bring back the stability to Mosul and other parts of Iraq. As well, I want to emphasize the part of the statements that the Iraqi government is very much concerned about the family of the diplomats, of the Turkish diplomats. They are in the hand of the terrorists, and we will do our best to actually work on the release of these diplomats and their families. And thank you. Now, we'll start here and then we'll...
Ambassador, can I ask you, are you requesting any international military assistance? Is that something you might request as this goes on?
The government of Iraq yet have not asked for military assistance from the United States or the other countries at this point.
سعادة السفير، كيف تنظر إلى تصدي لهذه العملية أو هذه الغزوات الإرهابية التي حصلت في عدة دول؟ هل هناك من عمل دولي ممكن بذله من أجل التخلص من تلك التنظيمات وإعادتها إلى مواقعها السابقة؟
في الواقع دولة رئيس الوزراء حدد في اجتماع مجلس الوزراء مجموعة من النقاط الأساسية، ومنها طلب من دول الجوار بغلق حدودها وعدم السماح لدول الجوار بمرور المقاتلين والجهاديين مع أسلحتهم إلى المناطق العراقية.
هل تلقيتم تأكيدات من دول الجوار بأنها ستتعاون معكم ومع المجتمع الدولي في هالمجال؟
الاتصالات جارية بين العاصمة بغداد والعواصم الدول المجاورة بشكل سريع وحثيث في هذا الوقت. يعني
بالنسبة إلى الدبلوماسيين الأتراك، هل هناك أي تنسيق أمني أو عسكري مع الحكومة التركية للتحرك في لإخراج المحتجزين من الموصل؟ ما هي الإجراءات التي ستتخذها الحكومة العراقية لتأمين سلامتهم؟
في الواقع هناك اتصال مع الجانب التركي حول هذا الموضوع. ما عندي تفاصيل دقيقة عن الإجراءات اللي تتخذها الحكومة العراقية، بس هناك أيضا اتصالات مع الجانب التركي. أنا تحدثت مع السفير التركي في الأمم المتحدة وبلغني أن الاتصالات جارية في لتوحيد الإجراءات بين الدولتين حول هذا الموضوع.
هذا البيان ليس الأول عن مجلس الأمن، ما الفرق الذي يمكن أن يحدثه؟ يعني لماذا على هذا البيان أن يحدث فرقا على الأرض؟
نعم، دعم مجلس الأمن الدولي بهذه القوة وبهذه الصورة يعطي دعم لشرعية الحكومة العراقية وحربها ضد الإرهاب. والحرب ضد الإرهاب هو حرب لجميع الدول وليس للعراق فقط. ونحن قلنا عدة مرات في كلماتنا أمام مجلس الأمن أن العراق يحارب الإرهاب نيابة عن دول العالم في هذا الوقت.
Does the government of Iraq see that there's a need to somehow have the Security Council acknowledge that there are countries supporting the terrorists and supporting the arming of these groups?
We have not identified that piece, but the way we asked the Security Council to imply or its resolutions on the finance and the supports for the terrorists.
But to the people that are arming them, there are countries and there are people arming these groups.
We believe there are a lot of international agencies as well as other support that are getting from outside Iraq.
هل قدمتم أسماء محددة عن تنظيمات ودول ومجموعات أو أفراد يقدمون الدعم إلى الإرهابيين؟
في الواقع هناك قائمة قدمت قبل أسبوعين في هذا المجال، وما عندي تفاصيل دقيقة حول هذا الموضوع، بس نعم هناك قائمة تم تقديمها إلى أعضاء مجلس الأمن. نعم.
من قبل الحكومة العراقية.
How concerned are you with the reports that the militants have seized U.S. weapons right of the U.S.?
I don't have any information on this, unfortunately, but I think the situation is very fluid, so there are a lot of media as well campaign that goes with this military campaign as well, so I wouldn't really comment on anything that came out from the media on this side.
You told us that the government of Iraq yet did not ask for any military help, but do you think that it will be needed? Do you think the security forces right now are capable to eliminate this threat of ISIS?
Iraq has many friends, and we have asked our friends to support us in different, areas that we believe that we need help with, and then we identify this area. And I said this is really up to the Commander-in-Chief, which is our Prime Minister. He will decide what areas that we need to support, and then where do we get it from.
Do you think the military is capable of handling this threat right now?
We have units are very well trained, and these units will be engaging the terrorists very soon, inshallah, as we say. Well, thank you very much. Thank you.